Hello and welcome. As a veterinarian, I get asked about Rottweilers all the time. They're such magnificent dogs. So today, we're going to do a deep dive. This is your complete vet's guide to raising a truly healthy and happy Rottie, all the way from that first puppy visit to their golden years. All right, let's get into it. Everything we're going to cover today is based on current, solid veterinary science. So if you're someone who really appreciates expert-driven advice for your best friend, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really is the best way to help us keep making content just like this. So where do you even begin with a Rottweiler? Well, we've got to start with their history. And look, this isn't just a fun trivia lesson. Understanding where these dogs come from is like having the blueprint for who they are today, their personality, their energy, and what they really need from you.
What's so fascinating here is just how deep their working roots go. I mean, we're talking about ancestors that marched with Roman legions, literally guarding and herding cattle over the Alps. Then, in Germany, they became the trusted butcher's dogs of a town called Rottweil. And by 1910, their intelligence and strength were officially recognized when they became police dogs. This is a breed with a resume that's centuries old.
And that long history brings us to a really crucial point about their temperament, which, let's be honest, often gets a bad rap. I want to read this for you. This is directly from the official breed standard. Good-natured, fundamentally gentle, and loving of children. It really drives home the point that these dogs were bred to be devoted, eager to please partners. So you take all that history, that Roman guard dog, that butcher's companion, that police partner, and what do you get? You get a dog that is naturally confident, incredibly courageous, and just keenly aware of everything happening around them. It's what makes them such amazing companions, but it also means they absolutely thrive when they have guidance, training, and a job to do. Okay, let's get into what is probably the most critical period of their entire life, the puppy months. Seriously, the foundation you build right here in the first 6 months is everything. And from my perspective as a vet, that foundation starts with one thing above all else: vaccinations.
So, have you ever wondered why we vets are so, nitpicky about the timing of puppy shots? Why can't we just give one and call it a day? Well, it's because it all comes down to this incredible biological balancing act happening inside that little puppy.
And this picture shows it perfectly. See, a puppy gets its first bit of immunity from its mom's milk. That's this red line here, these maternal antibodies. They're great, but they fade over time. Now here's the tricky part. As long as those antibodies are floating around, they can actually block a vaccine from doing its job. This pink zone, that's what we call the immunity gap. It's this window of vulnerability where mom's protection is wearing off, but the vaccine hasn't kicked in yet. So this schedule is our strategy to close that gap. By giving a vaccine every few weeks, we're basically trying to land a dose at the exact right moment when those maternal antibodies have faded enough. That final dose, at 16 weeks or later, is absolutely the most important one. And then the booster at 6 months just helps to really solidify that protection for the long haul. Okay, so while we're building up their immune system, we also have to fuel their body. And a Rottweiler puppy is a serious growth engine. What you put in their food bowl right now is so important, especially for a big breed like this that can have bone and joint problems if they're not fed correctly from the start. Puppy food is not just smaller kibble, it's a totally different recipe. As you can see here, it needs to be super digestible because their little stomachs can't handle a lot. It needs more fat and protein for all that energy and growth. But for a Rottie puppy, the single most critical thing on this chart is the calcium to phosphorus ratio. If that balance is off, it can lead to serious bone development issues. That's why feeding a high-quality, large breed puppy food is non-negotiable. All right, your Rottie made it through puppyhood and they're an adult. Now our whole focus shifts. We're not building the foundation anymore. We're maintaining that peak health, helping them rely on that strong immune system and skeleton you worked so hard to develop. For adult dogs, we vets basically split vaccines into two groups. Core vaccines. Think of these as the ones every single dog needs, period. They protect against really nasty, widespread diseases. Then you have the non-core vaccines, and these are tailored to your dog's specific life. Does your Rottie go to doggy daycare? Do you live in an area with a lot of ticks? That's what determines which of these they might need. It's a super important conversation to have with your vet every year. Now, here's something that still surprises a lot of owners. For years, we vaccinated for everything every year, but the science is now very clear. For those core vaccines, distemper, adenovirus, parvovirus, after their 1-year booster, adult dogs are perfectly well protected with a booster just once every 3 years.
But, and this is a really big but, that 3-year rule doesn't apply to everything. A lot of those non-core vaccines, like for leptospirosis, give a much shorter period of protection, and they do need to be boosted every year to be effective. And that's a perfect example of why the annual checkup is still so vital, even if the core shots aren't due. And just like that, we arrive at the golden years. As your powerful friend starts to slow down and become a senior, their needs change all over again. Our goal now is all about supporting their aging body, making sure they're comfortable, and keeping their quality of life as high as possible. You know, it's funny, their nutritional needs do a complete 180. A puppy needs all that energy and fat to build bone and muscle. A senior, they need fewer calories to avoid getting overweight, and they need special nutrients to support their aging joints. We're not focused on growth anymore. We're focused on preservation. So, what should you actually look for in a senior food? Well, first off, lower calories are key. Their metabolism is slower, and extra weight is really hard on old joints. You also want to see ingredients like glucosamine for that joint support, and antioxidants like vitamin E to help fight aging at a cellular level. And here's a neat trick. Some senior foods are made extra smelly and delicious to tempt older dogs whose sense of smell might be fading. All right, as we start to wrap this up, let's just zoom out and think about the big picture of your life with your Rottweiler. And if you take away one thing, let it be this. Please, please remember that the annual vet visit is so much more than just a shot appointment. It's our chance to be proactive. It's where we can catch arthritis early, talk about weight, check their teeth. It's where we create a health plan that's just for your dog, right where they are in life. From understanding their amazing history to fueling their puppy growth, keeping them healthy as an adult, and supporting them as a senior, your role is really that of a partner. It's a true partnership, one that's built on understanding and proactive lifelong care. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. A Rottweiler's legacy is always one of strength, loyalty, and incredible devotion. As their partner and their caretaker, what will be your greatest legacy to them? Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this guide helpful, please think about supporting our work through Buy Coffee. It really does help us create more of this expert-driven content for pet owners just like you. We'll see you next time.